It all started when I found myself feeling lonely in my own marriage. My husband, Daniel, had always been a dedicated man, someone who worked tirelessly to provide for our family. We had been together for nearly a decade, and while I loved him deeply, something had shifted over the years. The connection we once had, the excitement, the passion, had faded into routine. I remember the first time I noticed it, a quiet evening when Daniel sat beside me on the couch, scrolling through his phone, answering work emails while I stared blankly at the television. We had become distant, merely coexisting under the same roof. I tried to bring it up several times, hoping we could rekindle what was lost, but he always dismissed it, assuring me that things were fine and that I was overthinking. Then came the day when everything changed. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I had decided to meet up with some old friends from college. Among them was Jason, someone I had shared a close friendship with in the past. He had always been charismatic, easy to talk to, and he had a way of making me feel heard, something I had been missing in my marriage. As the evening progressed, we laughed, reminisced, and caught up on each other's lives. Jason had recently gone through a divorce, and he spoke about the pain of losing someone he had loved. It struck a chord with me, making me realize how much I feared losing the emotional connection I once had with Daniel. After dinner, the group slowly dwindled, and soon it was just Jason and me left at the bar. He looked at me with concern, sensing that I had something on my mind. "You seem different, Emily," he said. "Like something's weighing on you." I hesitated before admitting, "I just feel like I'm losing myself in my marriage. Daniel and we don't talk like we used to. It feels like we're just two people living in the same house, not really together." Jason nodded, understanding. "That's tough. You deserve to feel seen, to feel wanted." His words struck me harder than I expected. For the first time in a long time, someone was acknowledging the emptiness I felt. As we continued talking, I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't in years. It was liberating, comforting. The night grew late, and we decided to leave. Outside the bar, Jason offered to walk me to my car. The air was cool, the streets quiet. I turned to him to say goodbye, but as our eyes met, something shifted. It was as if the tension that had been building all night finally surfaced. "I don't want to go home yet," I found myself saying, my voice barely above a whisper. Jason hesitated, searching my face for what I truly meant. "Emily, are you sure?" I wasn't sure. I knew that what I was doing was dangerous, but at that moment, the ache in my heart overpowered the logic in my mind. I nodded. We ended up at his apartment, a small but cozy place that felt warm and inviting. As I sat on his couch, I felt my heart pounding. It wasn't just the anticipation, it was the guilt creeping in, the realization that I was standing on the edge of a decision that could change everything. Jason sat beside me, his presence both comforting and electrifying. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to," he said softly. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. I don't know when I stopped feeling like myself," I admitted. He reached for my hand, his touch gentle. "Maybe you just need to feel something again." And that was it. In that moment, I gave in to the loneliness, the desire to be wanted, to be seen. But as the night went on, something inside me started to shift. As much as Jason made me feel alive, I couldn't shake the weight of what I had done. The reality of my marriage, my vows, everything I had built with Daniel. Was this really worth it? By the time the morning sunlight streamed through the curtains, I knew I had made a mistake. Jason was kind, but he wasn't the answer to what was missing in my marriage. I had sought comfort in the wrong place instead of confronting the real issue, my relationship with Daniel. I left Jason's apartment with a heavy heart, my mind racing with thoughts of how to fix the mess I had made. When I got home, Daniel was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping his coffee, oblivious to the turmoil inside me. He looked up and smiled. "Hey, how was your night?" For the first time in a long time, I really looked at him, at the man who had been there through everything, who had worked so hard to provide for us, even if it meant sacrificing time together. I sat down across from him, my hands trembling slightly. "We need to talk." And so I told him everything, not about Jason, but about how I had been feeling, how disconnected we had become. I expected anger, maybe even resentment, but instead, Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples. I know, he admitted. I felt it too. I just didn't know how to fix it. It was a painful conversation, one that lasted hours, but it was also the most honest we had been with each other in years. We decided to seek counseling, to work on rebuilding what we had lost. It wasn't easy, and the guilt of what I had done with Jason weighed on me heavily, but I knew that if I truly wanted to save my marriage, I had to be fully present in fixing it. Looking back, I realized that infidelity isn't just about physical actions. It's about the emotional disconnect that leads you there. I had made a choice in a moment of weakness, but it didn't define who I was. What mattered was what I did next. Choosing to fight for my marriage, to confront the problems instead of running from them. And in the end, that choice made all the difference. Months passed, and with time and effort, Daniel and I began to heal. Therapy helped us address things we had been avoiding for years. We started making time for each other, going on dates, and truly listening. There were still moments of doubt, but I had learned that love wasn't just about feelings, it was about choices. And every day, I chose him. I chose us. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Daniel took my hand. I'm glad we fought for this, he said. I smiled, squeezing his hand. Me too. Because sometimes the hardest battles are the ones worth fighting for.